13, which is the Expo Line matter in Southern California, the extension of it from Culver City to Santa Monica.
Commissioners, I'm going to have my staff do the presentation on it since they're the experts in the actual areas. And while Darren gets the presentation moved forward, just say Darren Gilbert is the program manager for the Rail, Transit, and Crossings branch in CPSD.
Very good. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here with my staff member to make a presentation on Resolution SX100, which is proposed for your approval today. The presentation will go over briefly the Expo Phase 2 Light Rail Transit Extension Project,
13,
GO 164 Section 10 approval requirements, the rail crossing hazard analysis that was submitted in support of the crossings that are proposed, and the public comments that were received. The Exposition Line Light Rail Transit Project is going to extend from downtown Los Angeles to Santa Monica. It's being constructed in two phases. Phase 1 was approved 2 years ago and is largely constructed, is not yet placed in service. That will come in the next few months. The Expo Line is built by the Exposition Line Construction Authority, which constructs the system, and then the system is turned over to the Los Angeles Metro, the LAC-MTA, the operator of the light rail system in Los Angeles. The Expo Phase 2 extends from the current terminus of Phase 1 in Culver City out to Santa Monica. It consists, well, let's see, the EIR was certified in February 2010. The extension consists of 27 new crossings, of which 11 are proposed to be grade separated and 16 are proposed to be at grade. Of those 16 at-grade crossings, 7 are street running crossings, which essentially the line transitions from an exclusive right-of-way that runs along Exposition Boulevard onto a street running section that will put the light rail system on Colorado Boulevard in the city of Santa Monica. And it also includes 7 new stations, and construction is projected or proposed to begin in early 2012. We, RCES, began our involvement in the program and in this project in 2009. We participated in the environmental review. We submitted comments to the environmental document and have essentially been involved since then. I wanted to go over briefly General Order 164. That provides the rules and regulations for approving crossings on light rail extensions. In May of 2007, the Commission approved a revision to GO 164, which, among other things, included a new Section 10 allowing the submittal of a rail crossing hazard analysis report to approve the crossings, and a procedure that was outlined to bring that before you as we are doing today. The Expo extension is only the second project to use this process, and the first project was the San Francisco Central Subway, which was relatively at the time non-controversial and only involved 3 crossings. So this is the first significant extension using this process. In the new process, GO 164 requires that there's an initial phase where we get involved early in the process during the preliminary engineering and the development of the environmental impact report. The transit agency provides data on the crossings, what they're proposing, traffic counts, a number of other data elements, and we provide them feedback on that. We respond to their initial proposal and provide them back our comments, make suggestions for alternatives, and then we go to a second phase, which we receive the rail crossing hazard analysis, and the Regional Transit Agency request approval of the crossings. So that's really where we are now. The GO 164 Section 10 allows for filing of a formal application or the submittal of the rail crossing hazard analysis and the resolution process that we're bringing to you today. The Expo Authority chose to file rail crossing hazard analysis and pursue that process. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to my lead engineer, Jose Perea, who's in our rail crossings engineering section, who is the lead on this project. Thank you.
Good morning. Well, Darren's already briefed on the history of the project and where we stand now. I just want to quickly just run you through the involvement that the rail crossings engineering staff has had. The Rail Crossing Hazards Report, or the RCHAR, as I'm going to refer to it from now, is basically a nice way of packaging all of the safety concerns with an ag-grade crossing that can be identified, and listing mitigation measures consisting of features like warning devices, fencing, channelization, signage, traffic signals that address those hazards. So it compiles it all together, packages it, and it makes it much easier to review. Let's see, back in 2009, RCS first met with the Construction Authority, and we actually had a scoping meeting detailing what the development of this RCHAR. And based on that meeting, there were several items that we agreed would suffice as potential hazards that had to be addressed at each crossing location. Based on that, mitigation measures were selected based largely on established PUC safety requirements, our general orders, the California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which addresses crossings and traffic controls at these locations, as well as the City of Los Angeles and the City of Santa Monica design requirements, industry standards, LACMTA policies, and past experience with similar light rail projects. In September and December of 2009, we, again, RCES, along with the cities, the Los Angeles County Metro, met with Expo and reviewed their progress on the RCHAR as well as their preliminary engineering designs. We provided feedback and comments, and it was in June of this year that the Expo Construction Authority then officially submitted their draft RCHAR for us to review. Following the procedure that was outlined in 164 Section 10, this here is a snapshot of what the hazards analysis matrix consists of. This was developed in cooperation with staff, and on the far left it identifies potential hazards. In the center you have hazard identifiers, key indicators that were used to determine whether it was significant or not, and on the far right you will have then the proposed mitigation. Again, when I talk about hazards here, potential hazards and mitigations, I'm referring strictly to safety hazards and safety treatments that were identified to address those concerns. This is just a brief summary that shows you the general orders that we used in order to address these safety concerns and make sure that there was compliance with our policies and procedures as well as state policies, procedures. This is an example of a typical preliminary engineering design that shows a proposed crossing location at Overland Avenue, which coincidentally is adjacent to an elementary school, Overland Elementary School, and we will talk more about that briefly. Through July and August of this year, then RCES met with all the interested parties, and we conducted field meetings as well as office meetings. We visited each site of the proposed crossing locations Based on that, we provided additional comments, requested additional changes to improve the overall safety of these proposed locations. In November, then, RCES, we officially provided our recommendations. These are preliminary recommendations, again, following the process established in Section 10 of 164. The construction of November 2010. Thank you very much. We have that was November 2010 when that happened, that we provided our preliminary feedback. Then in March of 2011, the Expo Authority accepted our recommendations and addressed our concerns and provided a final R-chart document, officially triggering the next step, which was to begin development of the resolution proposing adoption of this project. Later on, there were a couple of modifications made. In April of this year, the Expo Authority submitted plans pretty much conveying that they had elected to grade separate one additional crossing. We reviewed those and we were fine with those. And then in August of this year, they went ahead and submitted some revised plans to an existing, what we call the I-10 freeway box structure, basically an existing portal underneath the I-10 freeway. We had some concerns there. They addressed them, reviewed them, and it is ready to go forward. Again, we drafted the resolution proposing adoption of its adoption and approval of the grades of the project in August of this year. Just to summarize, it's 27 crossings, 11 are grade separated, 16 are at grade. Of those 16, 9 are on exclusive right-of-way, which means they will cross an existing roadway, and there are more conventional crossings that will be protected by warning devices, gates, flashing lights, fencing, channelization, things of that nature. And the other 7 at grade are a street running segment, which will be controlled by existing traffic signals at these intersections, as well as specific train signals to govern their movement across those crossings. When we posted the resolution for public comment, we did receive considerable amount of comments. A large majority of them were comments in support of the resolution. They included over 100 emails, 28 individual comments of support, along with a petition containing over 300 signatures for the project itself. Along those lines, we had several letters of support from State Assembly, from city managers, from the City of Mayor, the Sierra Club, and several other individuals. We also received a few comments in opposition to the resolution. 2 in particular, these were individual comments that were submitted about one crossing location, and that is at the intersection of Stewart and Olympic. There is a proposed at-grade crossing there. The concerns generally dealt with the concern that there would be an additional impact to traffic there, that there would be a result of a traffic congestion. More significantly, we had two comments received from 2 community organizations. The first one is United Communities Association, and that's a community group that is basically centered around the area where the Expo Phase 1 is currently being constructed. They were the primary party in opposition to the proceeding that took place a few years back regarding Phase 1. They generally wanted the Commission to require the Expo Authority to reevaluate their EIR, citing that they felt it was not adequate. They also pretty much asserted that the Commission's RCES hadn't provided adequate information to the Commission as well to make a decision. Neighbors for Smart Rail was the second community organization. They themselves live in the Cheviot Hills area where part of the new extension is going to be running through. And primarily, again, they want to challenge the CEQA adequacy. They feel that CEQA was not pursued or evaluated adequately by the Expo Authority, and they cite a couple of areas where there were some changes made. They're concerned with the I-10 box structure, stating that there might be a need to reevaluate any impacts there. as well as some street closures that were identified by the Expo Authority, and the change of one cross of the Sepulveda Boulevard crossing being grade separated, where it was initially proposed at grade. They also cite concern for a couple of crossings that are proposed at grade. Overland Avenue is one of them, which is adjacent to a school. There's another ones where they say that there's too much traffic congestion that already exists. So they are asking that the commission pretty much have Expo Authority reevaluate the environmental document, or that the commission itself do something about the environmental document. Okay. That pretty much does completes the presentation at this point. If you have specific questions, then we are available to answer them.
Well, thank you very much. I would just echo what you said, that there's a tremendous political support for this project, including the mayor of Santa Monica, who called, Mayor Villaraigosa, Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, Zeb Yaroslavsky, and so on and so forth. And the purpose of this is to relieve and to reduce traffic congestion by providing light rail from downtown Los Angeles to Santa Monica, an area very much in need of it. And so, anyway, I move the item. Are there any comments on this?
Yes. I'm sorry, your name again?
Jose Pereira.
Excellent presentation, Mr. Pereira. It's obvious you've really gone through the detail. You missed one, I think, important point. I was the assigned commissioner on Phase 1. And as I like to say, I was a much younger man back then. This line runs through the hotbed of Los Angeles politics and infrastructure. But in reference to GO 164, Section 10, and this resolution process, I support this, by the way. But the concern that I have is, compared to Phase 1, there appeared to be much more engagement of the commission offices and the local communities. This seems to give the perception that the Expo Authority pretty much ran the table on this. Now, I want to commend Commissioner Farron for taking it off the consent agenda. After I lifted my hold, I was prepared to just vote and move on for the purposes of infrastructure development in Los Angeles, and I agree with President Peavy. I think this line creates enormous important interconnection for Los Angeles communities to education, culture, commerce, the beach in Santa Monica, and other great benefits. But this resolution process was dramatically different than what we had in Phase 1. How do you evaluate, from a comparative standpoint, this process as compared? For example, in Phase 1, I held 3 public participation hearings, 2 at the Dorsey High School crossing, which is at Farmdale and Harvard, 1 at the Fauché Learning Center, that's, Dorsey and Farmdale, Expo and Farmdale, and 1 at the Fauché Learning Center, which is at, I believe, Expo and Harvard, if my recollection is correct. Here, there's, I read the letters from the Expo Authority. They've assured us that they have gone through the process that we as a commission normally go through. So I just need your view on, as we vote this out, assurances to the public that this has received the same level of evaluation and scrutiny that Phase 1 received.
Well, I'll go ahead and answer that for you. I just want to assure the commission and the public that in terms of the technical evaluation of the proposed crossings, our CES has followed essentially the same procedure we do on a regular basis when it comes to formal applications. What you don't see happening with the formal applications is what happens behind the scenes. By the time a formal application requesting approval for crossings reaches the commission, our CES has been working with the interested parties roughly for a year or earlier than that, looking at draft plans, working on the environmental documents, submitting comments to draft EIRs, which we do always, going out and doing the site visits and looking at the locations where crossings are proposed. That same level of detail that has been itemized in Section 10 happens on an informal basis daily. It is part of our regular work. As you're all well aware, once an application is filed formally with the Commission, there are only 30 days in which to review it, and if you do not agree with it, file a protest, halting the process from moving forward. We couldn't do the level of work that we need to do in 30 days. So as an internal policy, we meet with these rail properties, with cities, transit agencies, years ahead of time to start and develop these plans to the level that we're satisfied they're safe. This ensures that when these applications are filed with the Commission, they can be placed on the consent items on the agenda and go through smoothly. With respect to Phase 1, the public participation hearings did not occur until a protest was filed. By that time, RCS had spent 2 years working with the interested parties on those designs. The Commission is very well within their right to, at this point, decide to hold public participation hearings if that's what you want. But I just want to assure you that based on RCS's review of the engineering designs, of the safety concerns, we've done everything that we normally do to ensure these crossings are safe. When it comes to matters of CEQA, we defer to the Commission or our legal division to take those up.
And that will be taken up also, or is this the conclusion of the presentation? Because I do have a question regarding CEQA.
Commissioner, we've worked with the legal division to ensure that they're comfortable that this meets our obligations as an independent entity evaluating the CEQA document for its adequacy in its use as a responsible agency, and we're comfortable with moving forward.
And the Expo Authority is the lead agency on the CEQA.
That's correct.
And was the appeal before? I'm still confused. Some say it was before the California Court of Appeals. I thought our appeals. Well, actually, I guess this would be an Expo Authority appeal. It goes before, so it's not the Supreme Court.
The status of it, as I understand it, is that it was appealed to this, or went to Superior Court. The Superior Court upheld the adequacy of the EIR. It was appealed, and it is now pending at the Court of Appeals.
Well, let me just say this going forward. We approved this GO 164 Section 10. It seems to streamline the process. I think that's probably to the overall to the benefit of the public. But as we were discussing last meeting, Michelle, about when you asked me did I want to have a briefing on every imaginable safety, the answer is yes, I do. If not me, at least my staff, because this process seems to just bring the whole avalanche at the time of vote, as opposed to some kind of way where we can track these matters as they progress. Again, I commend the presentation. I think overall the ends justifies the means, but I do think, particularly when we have such a disparity in community views on the crossings and the line, that we need some kind. I don't really have the solution. We can meet afterwards and talk about it, but we need some kind of continual briefing so that it's not. I lifted the hold. I felt it was the right thing to do, particularly in lieu of some of the comments regarding my hold, but. Be that as it may, I think going forward we can find a better balance or median on these type of streamlined applications.
I'll work with all of the offices actually to come up with an idea of what might make sense for keeping you better appraised of the projects that are pending before us and that are in the development stages, so that you're aware of them before they hit the agenda.
Okay, Commissioner Sandoval.
Yes. Well, first of all, I wanted to really thank the division for their great work on this, and to begin by stressing the role of the California Public Utility Commission in this process. Our role is to assess the safety of rail crossings. Our role is not to make the judgments that have already been made by the sponsoring agency, although one of the things that I did ask Director Cook about and others and the legal division is about our review of the adequacy of the EIR and its compliance with CEQA, and I have been assured that they are confident that the proper steps were followed, so that it is the I's were dotted, the T's were crossed. And again, the role in CEQA review at this point is not to second guess judgments that were made, but to evaluate whether or not the proper process was involved in terms of CEQA review. I think looking at rail safety and rail crossing safety is important, both from our historic role as the Railroad Commission, but also as we fundamentally protect safety. And I was very pleased in hearing about the extent of the safety checks that were done by the division, going out to crossings, standing there, observing crossing, observing patterns of people crossing the street, paying extra attention to schools and who crossed and who came out and when they came out. So a lot of vigilance has been done in this area, and I thank you for your vigilance. So I also wanted to thank my Chief of Staff, Ditas Katagi, who's also spent a lot of time on this item. We both had the opportunity in our previous work with the Business, Transportation, and Housing Agency to work on rail crossings issues through the Transportation Congestion Relief Fund and in conjunction with the Transportation Commission. So glad to be back on the rail crossing beat, and I'm very happy to hear about the diligence of your work in making sure that these crossings are safe. I know that you have made a number of suggestions to the agency to ensure that any concerns are appropriately mitigated, and I do think that this project has the opportunity to create a lot of economic development in Los Angeles. The light rail has been very popular in other areas of Los Angeles and has helped a range of people and businesses. So thank you very much.
Okay, Commissioner Farron, any comments? No? Okay, I've moved the item. Then all those in favor, please say aye. 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 Okay. Thank you very much, both of you, for your presentation. And we'll have, I don't know how many jobs this is going to create, but there's a lot of jobs here. 6.6 mile extension. Do you have any idea off the top of your head?
How many jobs? Not right now off the top of my
No,
head.
okay. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank both of you. Okay, now we turn to item 49. And this was an item to discuss and hold, I believe.